Day 4. Still nothing. Not a glance. Not a word. She walked past me in the hallway this morning like I was part of the wall. Like I was a floor lamp she regretted buying. She brushed her teeth with the door open, but shut it halfway when she saw me in the mirror. Not slammed. Just quietly, like someone closing a book they weren't enjoying. It's been 4 days of silence, but the way it started, that was worse. She came home late last Friday, heels in hand, eyes glossy. She dropped her keys like it hurt her fingers to hold them. Then she just stared at me. Not angrily. Not guiltily. Just blank. I said, "Hey," like a fool. She replied, "I'm tired." And that was the last full sentence she's spoken to me since. The next morning, I made breakfast, cinnamon French toast, her favorite. She walked past the plate like it wasn't there. Put on her headphones. Sat on the couch. I heard some guy's voice coming from her phone. She was giggling. Like a teenager. She never even touched the food. Later that night, I found the plate still on the table. Cold. Untouched. Like me. I know what people will say. Why didn't you confront her? Because I already knew. I knew that if I asked her what was going on, she'd lie. And worse, she'd lie casually. Effortlessly. Like she'd practiced. So I didn't ask. Instead, I watched her ignore me for 7 days straight. And somewhere in the middle of that silence, something inside me snapped. Not in an angry way. In a quiet, terrible way. Like, if she didn't want me to exist, maybe I'd stop existing around her. So when Bryony texted me and said, "Come with us. We're leaving tomorrow for Yosemite," I just said, yes. Fallon heard me packing. Didn't ask where I was going. Didn't care. But the second I posted a photo of me smiling, actually smiling, from a cliffside with someone else, with sunlight on my face instead of her shadow, she called. And texted. And called again. And that's when it started, not just her attention. The unraveling. By the time we reached the edge of the national park, I had 12 missed calls and 4 texts from Fallon. The first message was just, "Where are you?" The next one, "Are you with someone?" Then, "Call me right now, Lowell." I didn't. I couldn't. I was sitting in the back of a dusty Jeep with people who still laughed at dumb jokes. People who didn't treat silence like punishment. Bryony sat next to me, sipping from a metal water bottle, her sunglasses catching the sun. She didn't ask questions. She just looked over once and said, "You needed this." And maybe I did. But as much as I wanted to forget everything back home, part of me couldn't stop replaying the moment Fallon's voice finally cracked through her silence. Why now? After 7 days of walking past me like I was a coat on a chair, now she suddenly wanted to talk? I stared at my phone, thumb hovering over the screen, until Bryony said gently, "Don't break your peace for chaos." I didn't answer the calls. I hiked. I laughed. I slept without holding my breath. And then, Fallon sent a photo. It was our wedding picture. No caption. Just that. Us, 7 years ago, smiling in front of the church like we believed in forever. I stared at it for 10 straight minutes, wondering what she thought it would do. Guilt me? Remind me of a version of her that doesn't exist anymore? I didn't reply, so she escalated. That night, I got a video call. I didn't answer, but she left a voicemail. Her voice was shaking, angry, almost breathless. "I don't know what game you're playing, Lowell, but this isn't funny. You don't just disappear and post pictures with." She stopped herself. "Call me back." No apology. No explanation. Just ownership. Like she was angry I'd stepped off the leash. And that's when something clicked. She wasn't upset I was gone. She was upset she didn't control it. When I returned to the cabin that night, Bryony handed me a beer and asked if I was okay. I almost told her everything. I almost spilled the 7 days of silence, the dead breakfasts, the hallway glances that never landed. But I didn't. I just said, "She noticed I'm gone." Bryony raised an eyebrow. "A little late for that, isn't it?" The next morning, I woke up to one final text from Fallon. Just 2 words. "Come home." No heart. No explanation. Just a command. And I realized. She thought the story was still hers to narrate. She had no idea how wrong she was. I didn't respond. Not to the calls. Not to the "come home." Not even to the photo of her sitting on our bed, wearing the hoodie she once stole from my closet and claimed smelled like safety. None of it moved me. Not anymore. Because I was finally beginning to see what she did. My attention wasn't love. It was fuel. And I cut her off cold. That morning in Yosemite, while everyone else was gearing up for a cliff hike, I just sat on the porch of the cabin, watching mist curl off the trees like steam off a secret. My phone buzzed again, but I turned it over. I didn't need more bait. But then something strange happened. Bryony came out holding her phone. Hey, she said cautiously. Did Fallon text me by accident? I blinked. What? She handed me her phone. And there it was, a message from Fallon to Bryony. It read, "He's with you, right? Tell him to stop being childish. We can talk like adults when he gets back." No greeting. No explanation. Just assumption and command. I felt my stomach sink. Fallon never met Bryony. She didn't know her last name. She shouldn't have even known we were together unless she'd gone digging. My social media didn't tag Bryony. She wasn't in the photo. Just trees and sky and my dumb smiling face for once. How did she even find your number? I asked, and Bryony shrugged, uneasy now. She followed me on Instagram last night. I didn't think much of it. She said she was your wife and wanted to make sure you were safe. I figured it was fine. But it wasn't fine. I checked my phone again. A new message. Fallon again. Enjoy your vacation. I'll be gone when you get back. At first, that felt like a win. The kind of message you expect when someone realizes they've lost you. But something about the timing didn't sit right. Fallon never threatened to leave before. She preferred control through indifference, withdrawal. This was strategic. I didn't reply. I just stared at the words. Later that evening, I got a call from my neighbor back home, Orson. He's one of those older guys who watches everything but says little unless you ask. Hey, he said casually. Everything okay over there? I saw a moving van in front of your place today. Didn't know you guys were moving. I froze. What did you just say? Big white van. Couple of guys loading stuff into it. Looked like furniture. Thought maybe you two were downsizing or something. I didn't hear the rest of what he said. My vision tunneled. She was serious. And fast. Either she was bluffing with a very expensive threat, or she was already dismantling our life behind my back. And I was still 600 miles away. I stared at the trees, but all I could picture was our couch being hauled into some stranger's truck. Our framed photos getting bubble-wrapped by hands that had no idea what those moments meant. My office chair, the one I bought after years of back pain, disappearing down the front steps. What got me the most? I imagined her taking down the painting we bought in Portland on our second anniversary, the one she said reminded her of how peaceful I made her feel. And I wondered if she even paused before shoving it into a box. I told Bryony I had to cut the trip short. She didn't ask questions, just nodded and said, "You don't owe her the benefit of the doubt anymore." That hit me harder than I expected, because somewhere deep inside, I still did want to believe Fallon had a reason. A stupid, selfish, broken reason, but a reason. I drove all night. Somewhere in Nevada, she finally called again. I didn't answer, but she left a voicemail. Her voice was perfectly calm. Too calm. Hey, just so you're not surprised, I left a few things behind that I didn't want. You can donate them, or whatever. I took what mattered. I'm done waiting for you to grow up, lol. No tears. No yelling. Just detachment. The same detachment I'd felt for 7 days while she ghosted me in my own house. Except now it had a box truck and receipts behind it. When I pulled into the driveway the next morning, I thought I had the wrong address for a second. The porch plants were gone. Her wind chimes were missing. The curtains were different, darker, cheaper. The front door was locked, and when I got inside, it hit me all at once. She really did it. She took everything that was us and left behind the things that were just me. She left my work desk, but took the chair. Left the spice rack, but took the coffee maker. Left the bookshelf empty. The bed was still there, mattress only. There was a single envelope on the counter. My name, written in her handwriting. I thought maybe it was a letter. An explanation. Something that could justify the way she'd erased me like chalk on a sidewalk. But it was just a receipt. A moving service invoice. Paid in full. Her signature at the bottom like a punchline. No note. Not even a goodbye. I should have been angry. I should have screamed or punched the wall or thrown something. But instead, I just sat on the floor and stared at the empty hooks where our jackets used to hang. My own house felt like a staged crime scene, scrubbed clean of motive, but stained with silence. And yet, in all that hollow space, I felt the first flicker of something else. Not grief, not even rage. Clarity. She didn't do all this because she was hurt. She did it because she thought I wouldn't fight back. I sat on that cold hardwood floor for hours. No TV to distract me. No couch to collapse into. Just the echo of my own breath and a silence that now felt final. She didn't leave like someone storming out. She left like someone executing a plan. Clean. Fast. Void of hesitation. And that's what rattled me. How long had she been preparing this? How long was I just background noise while she staged her exit? I tried calling her once, just once. Straight to voicemail. I didn't leave a message. What was I supposed to say? Nice job gutting our life in 48 hours. Instead, I checked our joint accounts, or what used to be joint. One was drained. The other had a single automatic payment scheduled, her gym membership, still in my name. I didn't even know what that meant. I opened my laptop to log into our shared cloud folder, the one we used for budgeting, receipts, house documents. Access denied. The folder was gone. Deleted. I searched deeper. Everything that had her name on it, backups, shared photos, even grocery lists, vanished. Like she was wiping herself out of my history. At first, I thought maybe this was all some scorched earth response to the trip. Maybe she assumed Bryony and I were together, romantically. Maybe it pushed her over the edge. But something didn't line up. That trip was spontaneous. Fallon couldn't have predicted it. So how was she this prepared? How do you schedule a full erasure in under a week unless it didn't start last week? Unless it started months ago. That's when I remembered something that had bugged me, but I'd brushed off. Back in early September, she changed her phone passcode. Just said she was being more security-minded. Around the same time, she asked me to stop forwarding her emails to our shared inbox. Too cluttered, she said. She hadn't been distant for 7 days. She'd been hiding for months. It wasn't about the trip. It wasn't about Bryony. That wasn't the trigger. That was just the excuse she needed to pull the lever she'd already been building behind my back. A trigger that made her look like the victim, and me like the one who left first. So I did the only thing I could think of. I went looking. Not emotionally. Strategically. I logged into our internet service account and pulled the browsing history from her profile. It took some work. Some brute force and security questions she forgot I still knew the answers to. And there it was. A month ago, Fallon had been researching rental properties in 2 states I've never even been to. She'd also visited a legal site that specialized in quiet exits, guides on how to leave a marriage with minimal contact and no warning. That's when it hit me. She didn't want to fight. She wanted to vanish. I didn't sleep that night. Not out of sadness. Not even out of rage. I didn't sleep because my brain was stuck in loops, replaying Fallon's silence like a tape that suddenly made sense when reversed. This wasn't just a woman fed up with her husband. This was someone orchestrating an exit months in advance, someone who wanted to disappear without question. And now, it was my turn to start asking them. I dug deeper. I logged into our smart home account, the one Fallon had insisted I set up, but stopped using herself. There was a log. Cameras. Footage. Even if she'd taken most of the tech with her, a few devices were still pinging. One of them, the guest room's motion sensor, had more data than it should have. 2 weeks ago, it showed movement at 2:13 a.m. Not once. 3 nights in a row. That room hadn't been used in months. I clicked into the backup footage from the cloud, the kind we'd set up but never checked. The feed was blurry, low light, but there was someone there. A man. Not me. Not Orson, our neighbor. This guy had dark hair, wore a hoodie, and let himself in like he'd been there before. I sat there, frozen, replaying that grainy footage again and again, trying to catch a glimpse of his face. But the camera caught something else. A car outside, parked down the street. Same one all 3 nights. It wasn't just an affair. It wasn't just emotional neglect. Fallon had someone staying over while I was asleep in the same house, just 1 wall away. She was in bed with me and sneaking another man in through the side door like I was an afterthought. Like I didn't even matter. But that's not even the part that broke me. The 4th night, the camera showed her helping him carry out boxes. Not sneaking him in, helping him take things out. A week before she started ignoring me, she'd already been moving out in pieces, like a reverse heist. She left the furniture so it would look sudden. But the valuable things, the documents, the hard drives, even the wedding ring box we kept for nostalgia, they were already gone. She'd been stealing our life while I was still sleeping in it. I thought maybe I was being overdramatic, but then I checked her iCloud calendar, something she forgot to disable when she changed passwords. There was one single entry, from 2 months ago, saved under a fake name. Kenton arrives, 2:15 a.m. That's who he was. Kenton. A name I'd never heard. A man I'd never met. A guest in the home I paid for. A thief in the life I built. And Fallon didn't even have the decency to lie about him to my face, because she never planned on needing to. This wasn't abandonment. It was a quiet replacement. I sat there staring at that name, Kenton, like it was a trigger word. I whispered it out loud, just to hear how ridiculous it sounded coming from my mouth. Kenton, like some placeholder name Fallon invented to file away the man who replaced me. But I knew one thing for sure. If she was careless enough to leave that in her cloud, there were more mistakes buried underneath. And I was done being the quiet one. I didn't want revenge. Not at first. I just wanted truth. But the thing about digging for truth is, once you find the edge of it, you can't stop clawing. So I pulled every digital string she forgot to cut. Venmo logs, old iMessages from our shared Mac, travel itineraries saved under work. It was all there, hiding in plain sight. Turns out, Fallon wasn't just building an escape. She was building a second life. And Kenton? He wasn't new. He was previous. Some guy she knew before me, years back. A name I vaguely remembered from a college story she once told, in a tone that sounded harmless. Kenton? He was too intense. Funny guy, but not serious. Guess that changed. They had weekend getaways. Booked under his name, but her email. She'd used PTO from her job for a leadership retreat in June. It was a cabin in Idaho, booked for two. A rustic one-bedroom with a hot tub and no Wi-Fi. The photos were still cached on the travel site. She never even tried to hide them. She thought I'd never look. And she was right. I never would have. Not back then. But now, I printed everything. Every receipt, every reservation, every blurred camera still with a timestamp. I made a folder and labeled it with the name she once said didn't matter. Then I did something even she didn't expect. I called her mother. Fallon hated involving family in our stuff. She said it was childish, dramatic. But her mother, Evelyn, always liked me, more than she liked Fallon, if I'm being honest. So when I called and calmly asked if she had a moment, Evelyn said, "What did she do? Not if. Not what happened. Just what did she do?" I told her. Everything. Not to ruin Fallon's image. That wasn't the point. I just needed someone in her world to know I wasn't crazy. That I wasn't overreacting. That I hadn't pushed her away. I'd been played. Evelyn went silent. Then she asked a question I'll never forget. Did she take the gray box? I paused. What gray box? Evelyn sighed. If she didn't, it means she still thinks she's in control. I didn't sleep that night either. Not because of grief. That was already numb. This time, it was strategy. Because Fallon thought this was over. But I'd only just begun. The next morning, I found it. The gray box Evelyn mentioned, buried behind a stack of holiday decorations in the hall closet. It wasn't locked, just dusty. Inside were documents Fallon had clearly meant to take. Birth certificates, social security cards, a folder with her name change paperwork, and the deed to the house. Still in my name. She never got around to filing the transfer she once mentioned during a random, future planning conversation months ago. I stared at it for a long moment, and then just smiled. Quietly. For the first time in weeks, the panic lifted. She wanted a clean break. A disappearing act. But she left the most important things behind. Not just documents, but assumptions. She assumed I'd stay curled up in confusion. That I'd be too weak, too sad, too paralyzed to fight back. But here's the thing. I am sensitive. I am whiny. I overthink and spiral and panic. But I'm not stupid. And I don't stay broken. I met with a lawyer the next day. I handed her the folder I'd built. Every photo, every receipt, every message. She didn't even blink. "We'll protect your assets," she said. "And with this timeline, she's the one who'll need to answer questions, not you." Fallon texted me again a few days later. Just a simple, "Can we talk?" I said yes. We met at a neutral cafe. She wore sunglasses, even indoors, like she was still hiding something. She didn't look smug. She looked unsure, like the script she'd rehearsed was suddenly missing a page. "I didn't expect you to just disappear," she said, voice soft. I didn't respond. She added, "You and Bryony, was that really a thing?" I shrugged. "Does it matter?" Her mouth twitched. "So that's it? You're just going to let me be the villain?" And that was the moment I realized what she'd actually wanted this whole time. The last word. The version of the story where I begged, got angry, made a scene, something that would justify her exit. Instead, I gave her silence. Her own weapon, handed right back. "No," I said finally. "You made yourself the villain. I just watched." She blinked fast. Her voice cracked for the first time. I didn't think you'd take it this far. Neither did I said, standing up. Turns out we were both wrong about me. I left her there, sitting in the same silence she'd once buried me in. Weeks passed. The house is mine. The bank accounts are secure. The lawyer handled everything. Bryony and I? We're not anything romantic, just friends, for now. But I've laughed more in the past month than I did in the last 2 years. That has to count for something. Fallon tried to reach out again, a longer message this time. Something about healing, and maybe we rush things. I didn't reply. Not because I hate her. I don't. I just don't need her to finish the story anymore. Because this time, I'm the one who walked away. And I didn't just walk away angry. I walked away whole.